Hey y'all, I'm Sarah from Sarah Grace Cookie Company. Today we're talking all about piping bags, the different types you can use for cookie decorating, all their different benefits and drawbacks, and my personal favorites that I use for cookie decorating on a daily basis. So let's get started. Okay, one of the first methods that people really like to use for cookie decorating and getting the icing onto the cookie is a squeeze bottle like this one right here. I know there are a bunch of different varieties of squeeze bottles, but this was the one I had on hand. I have used these before for a really big order when I had to flood a lot of cookies at one time. But I do not prefer these because I like to use a thicker flood consistency that doesn't always come through the tip as easily. And I also don't like that you can't really get very detailed with these. They're good for flooding basic shapes, big areas of basic shapes, but these have never really worked super well for me. I know different cookie decorators who have had different experiences with the bottles. Some people swear by them, but they do kind of limit the level of detail you can do. They limit the size of the space that you can work with, to me anyway. I can't get detailed enough with one of these to do those little small pieces of flooding. So I'm not crazy about these, but this is one method you can use for flooding a cookie. Now, some people like to use metal piping tips with a reusable bag or a disposable bag like this one that you can buy in the little pack at Hobby Lobby. In order to do that, you do have to use the coupler, and I'm not sure what the name is. I think it's all called a coupler. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to put this little piece down into the bag, and then you put the middle piece over the top like so, and then you screw this on. Sometimes if I don't really feel like it, I just pop the middle piece down in there and cut off the tip, and I do that with my tipless piping bags as well. But that is another method you can use. Some people, I think Amber Spiegel, I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, again, I apologize. The Amber of Sweet Am's Cookies, I've noticed that she uses metal tips pretty frequently, and her work is absolutely gorgeous. So some people can do really well with the metal tips. When I started cookie decorating, I did not know about tipless piping bags. I didn't know all the joy and splendor that was tipless piping bags. And all I had at home were the metal ones. I had a collection of metal ones that I had used for some other baking projects. So I started by using the metal tips and the bags like this. I saw very quickly that I was doing a lot of washing with these. And I do not like washing dishes, y'all. I hate it so much. If I ever do any kind of merchandise, the first shirt I make is gonna say I hate dishes, because I say that all the time. I do. I hate dishes. I have so many dishes to do just from being a mom of twin 2-year-olds and a wife of a husband who just eats as a normal human would. Like, we just have a lot of dishes as a family of 4, so cookie dishes on top of family dishes was getting to be a little too much for me when I discovered tipless piping bags. So these are miraculous. They come in a little pack from Amazon just like this. These are just some of the inexpensive ones. This is a pack of 100, and you can order them, like I said, from Amazon. I've never been able to find them locally. If you have like a specialty cake decorating store near you, you could probably find them there. But in my little town where I come from, I don't have a place where I can go and physically get these. I have to order them. They can be easily confused with these disposable piping bags that you can buy in stores. This is not a tipless piping bag. This is a disposable piping bag. It is different. It has a little bit extra plastic there at the end, and when you cut it, it kind of becomes cumbersome and gets in your way. So don't confuse disposable piping bags, which are good for using with your metal piping tips, with your tipless piping bags, which are for cookie decorating with or without a piping tip. I use these to hold piping tips sometimes, but I also mostly use them just on their own. Now, when you're using a disposable piping bag, you pull them out of the pack and they look like this, right? They're just a little triangle shape. Place your hand into the bag and make it so that the crease, you now have a little crease in the center. You've opened it up and you've creased it like this. Once your icing's in there, of course. This is all after you put your icing in there. And then you just cut it across the top like that. So open it up, crease it like this so that the raised line is going across the middle, and cut it across the top. That's your basic just circular cut where you're making a little piping line or where you're piping and flooding. And these are really handy. You can also pop a metal tip in there, cut the end off just like you would with a disposable bag. Whoops. And you can use it for your metal tips. Now, I really like the leaf cut on these. You can use these tipless piping bags as you would a leaf piping tip like this. So if you grab a leaf piping tip from your piping collection, it looks about like that, and it'll make that really pretty little leaf design. So you just cut right across the top in a V shape, and that V shape will allow you to use this tipless piping bag as you would that V-shaped piping tip. You can also do a pedal tip with a tipless piping bag. You just, again, you don't have to put your hand in and open it up this time. You're just gonna find that crease, which is typically on top here. Hold it to the side and you're gonna cut back toward the crease at an angle, and that's gonna give you a little flower piping tip. Now, I'm gonna go through some of the metal tips that I have with you that I would use for cookie decorating when I first started, because like I said, if you haven't started using tipless piping bags, they might be something to get used to for you. They're a little bit new and different, and that's okay. If you're still using metal piping tips, or if you just prefer to use metal piping tips, here's a little rundown of how I use mine. I have one that looks like this. It's got a little star on the end, and it has this doodah inside it. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is, but you fill this up with like a piping consistency that you would use for flowers. You can pop it onto the top of a cookie and turn it, and it just makes a little flower. So this is a really good one to have on hand for cookie decorating. I like this one for polka dots. It's a nice big wide one, and you can use that for flooding as well. I like a wider tip for flooding. I don't really use these, so if you're deciding what to buy and what not to buy, I've used this once, maybe. It's like a little flat edge type deal. Yeah, I don't really use that a lot. Another star tip, these are good for just little small flowers and rosettes. These are the same. I just use those typically for rosettes or maybe a shell pattern on the edge of a cookie. These are my leaf piping tips. Like I said, I normally use my tipless piping bags for the leaves, but these will make some really beautiful leaves when you're piping flowers. Last but not least, I have these piping tips that are for flower petals. And they're the ones that I probably use the most often in my cookie decorating because I'm floral obsessed. So they look like this, and they're great for piping little flowers and rosettes and things like that. They're really good ones to have in your cookie decorating arsenal. I also want to show you real quick, we were talking about tipless piping bags, and really any piping bag that you use, you're going to need to seal the top somehow. Some people like to tie a knot. I don't have the patience for that. So I got these little pink bow chip clips that go at the top of your piping bag, and I just broke that one. It's like 2 years old, so it's holding up good for its age. Okay, but you just open up the little clip, and after you've put your icing in there, you can pop it closed like that, and it holds all your icing down in the bag. I also like to seal my piping bags with one of these little contraptions. Mine's covered in powdered sugar and it's a complete disaster, but I'll link to it in the description below. A link to it on Amazon. It's like $20. It's called an automatic bag sealer. I think it's made for butchers because they apparently seal a lot of plastic bags with meat in them. But when you're using any kind of piping bag and you need to seal it, I do a lot of cookie decorating classes, so I end up sealing a ton of bags at one time, and this is really handy because you can just take it and pop it down into that little hole, and it creates this little twist tie on the end. Isn't that neat? And you can just do this over and over. I end up going through like 20 at a time, over and over and over. And you can, when you get like this, when your icing gets lower in the bag and you need to seal it higher so that you maintain that pressure, you can just keep it going down through there. I have had this for 6-7 months of intense hardcore use, and I still have plenty of tape that came with it, so it's really handy. I hope that helped you kind of understand a little bit about some of the different products you can use to get icing onto your cookies. If you enjoy cookie decorating content like this, like the video and subscribe to my channel. I post every Tuesday evening a video, something related to cookie decorating. And I also offer online classes as well as in-person classes here in Florence, Alabama. If you're interested in taking an online cookie decorating class that'll help you get started on your cookie journey, you can check that out in the description below as well. I also offer a membership in the Sarah Grace Cookie Academy for $25 a month, which gives you access to all of those $25 courses that I mentioned. And you also get a Zoom group coaching call where I drop in and give you some tips and helpful information for about an hour each month with that subscription. And you get to ask me any question you want to, and I just kind of try and help you with whatever you're working on. So if you're interested in any of that, you can check it out down in the description below or on sarahgracecookieco.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.